How you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you, Mark?
Very good, very good. Earlier this week, I was very fortunate to interview Laura Payne. Quite an interesting story. So we will head straight to that interview now. Okay, so Laura, how you doing?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, Mark. How are you? You all right?
Very, very good, thank you. Very good. So we're talking to Laura Payne here, newly signed professional boxer. How does that sound?
Joe, it sounds good. It sounds a bit rewarding in itself. It's crazy. I've been crazy. You know, when I first ever had a fight years ago.
Was that your first fight? Just out of curiosity. When I saw you in London. Yeah, brilliant.
That's it. I had my first boxing fight. Yeah, against Marissa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did some kickboxing and stuff like that before, but that was my first ever bout. So I've been doing it ages. But yeah, it's nice to now have turned pro. I think it suits my style. So
brilliant. Well, we're going to come on to that later. I want to talk lots about that. Your pro stuff, because I'm buzzing for you on that. It's amazing.
It's good,
so one of the things I was going to ask you first is you kind of touched on then. How did you get into boxing, and when was it?
So I probably got into boxing about 6 years ago. So I kickboxed before that. But when I was growing up, basically I grew up around a bit of violence, so I wanted to defend myself. That's literally the reason why. So I walked down to the kickboxing gym, which was just down the road from me. Didn't tell anyone I was going. Walked in there, fell in love with it. But I was born with dislocated hips, so when I was kicking, I couldn't really kick to like the ability I needed to. I did some good competitions and won like some good titles, but because I couldn't lift my leg up when I was fighting. Oh,
I'm still here. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm back.
All right. Sorry.
So I couldn't. I basically couldn't kick as high as these other girls when I got up to the top girls. So I was like, right, I need to just focus on my hands. Went down to a boxing club and fell in love, and was with Marc Holden first of all.
Brilliant. It's been quite a whirlwind journey then, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I first met you. We had a guy that I was cornering. We took him to London, and so I didn't realise at the time that was your very first fight. So that was a white collar fight, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah, white collar.
And it went pretty good, didn't it?
Went brilliant. Do you know what? I was so scared on that fight. I can't even explain the fear I had in me. I was thinking, what am I doing? I'm about to go. But yeah, was really successful. I knocked her down a few times and come up with a win. So it was good.
And who was the referee for that fight? Was it? Did you have Robin Reed? Was it Robin Reed?
Robin Reed.
Brilliant.
Robin Reed, the famous Robin Reed.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? So your first.
You know I spoke to him the other day on Instagram.
Did you?
I sent a picture of him reffing it. Yeah, and he was like, "Blimey, that was a long time back." That's that was years and years ago. But yeah, good. Probably it was about, how long was that? 5 years back? 4 years back?
It's about 5 years.
So I was probably boxing about a year before I actually had my first fight, because I struggled to get them anyway. Then obviously when I got the opportunity to do that, jumped on it, and Robin Reed.
That's amazing. That's amazing in itself. Three-time world champion. So tell us a bit about your boxing career. So you've boxed in the amateurs and you fought for GB, which is incredible. So tell us a bit about what you've done up to now before you've decided now to turn pro, which is incredible.
So I started off obviously with Marc Holden, then I decided I would turn amateur. I didn't understand there was white collar before like the amateur and the pros. So I sort of just Googled boxing clubs, found that one and thought that was the best one to go for. But obviously when you get a bit more knowledge under it, it's better at the age I was to turn amateur and get as many fights and experience as I possibly could. So I spoke to John Edwards in Guildford, and he said, "Yeah, come down and do a session." Literally, me and John just connected. Like, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just click with someone, and we just clicked straight away. So he said, "Right, stay with me. I'll get you some fights." Struggled to get them. Really struggled to get them. My first fight was a series of 3 fights in 3 days. And it was called the Haringey Box Cup, and it was the biggest competition in Europe. So you get like every country in Europe all comes to that tournament. So it's massive. It's a hard one to do. And John was like, "Right, just go for it. You'll be fine." Because I was struggling to get the fight, so I thought, I'll go in, but didn't really expect to do as well as what I did. I managed to knock 2 of them out, and then the last one I won that third fight as well. So like stopped the 2 and then won the third fight as well. So I came out with a gold medal. Then Great Britain got in touch with me and they was like, do you want to come on our squad? Then I was with them for 2 years, but I kept getting injuries. I think that was due to the intensity of that I was training. I don't feel like my body could cope with it at the time. From going just 4 days a week to training 3 times a day for 5 days for a week up in Sheffield, then coming back for weekends and going back, I think it was just too much for my body at the time. I was still growing and things like that. So did 2 years, did some, like, it was good. It was good for me to learn a lot in 2 years, but decided to step away when it came to renewing my contract. They sort of gave me the option, what do you want to do? Do you want to do it for another 2 years or do you want to come away? And I thought, no, I'm going to come away. Came away, carried on boxing under John, did a few more fights. And then that sort of, I've just struggled since that Haringey, just struggled to get them. So I think last season I had 8 fights and I won 6. And then after that, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to turn over.
Yeah, right.
So that's basically the journey.
Yeah. When you was in Sheffield, did you see any like the big names like AJ and stuff like that? Did you meet them? Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. So, AJ, I know him quite well now actually. All through because obviously you train alongside them. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them up there, and you are training alongside the best. Don't get me wrong. You've got the best facility. Yeah. You've got unbelievable coaches, but the thing that had it for me, in terms of John, was John is also a coach for England and Great Britain. So because my body wasn't performing how it should have in camp, John said, why don't you just step away because I can give you the same training what they're having anyway, because he was a coach for England and GB. So it was like, you're travelling up there, it's knackering it out of you. Then you're training all these with injuries. He said, just let me sort of like fix your injuries. So I went private I had like a broken wrist and stuff like that. It was broken in 3 places and it was like the worst setback ever, mentally as well. Yeah. Got that done privately, and then with John we just flew from there. Really, it was the right idea to step back. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, Great Britain, it isn't for everyone up there. It's very hard. No. Yeah, it's tough.
So that's really interesting, because one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is like, so I'm a firm believer. So we have a club here in Bournemouth, and I deliver training on behalf of the WBC. So it's white collar. But it's the WBC Academy, and it's basically, it's aimed at people that have never boxed in their life, that maybe they could be couch potatoes and they just think, wow, I've watched AJ fight, I want to do that, but they feel they can't. And it's taking them from the very basics through the very basics, and helping them get physically fitter, confidence, but also I'm a massive believer that boxing is a great aid for improving your mental health. Without a doubt. Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. And you mentioned then about struggles, and I know through my time growing up, if I had an injury or something, and if it's been an injury which has stopped me from either working, the stress it puts you under is huge. And obviously with you're young, you've got this great goal, this great achievement that you're focusing for. So for you, an injury is a major thing. So but that's a struggle in itself. So I'm really interested to know how that injury would have affected you and how you dealt with it.
So obviously, for example, the wrist. So I've had more injuries than my wrist, but I've had my back go, I've had like a slip disc and things like that. But mainly the wrist was my main one, because I was in a cast and it was just driving me crazy. So obviously when I got told I had a broken bone, they said it was just one bone broken. So it was in a cast for however long it was, 6 weeks, whatever. And I sort of thought in my head, right, it's only 6 weeks, it's going to be fine. Like, it's just over a month, let's just get it done. When I went back, when they wanted to take off the cast, they then noticed another 2 breaks in it, and the original break wasn't even healed. So then I was like, bloody hell, how long is this going to take now? And it just kept getting worse. Like, they kept saying, well, we might have to do this. At one point, they didn't know if they was going to operate on it. And it was mentally one of the hardest things. Obviously, other than like some situations in life, it was very, very, very mentally hard. I kept in touch with John, and he was brilliant with me. To be honest, I was still going down the gym, because just by being in the gym made me feel better. Like being around boxers, motivation, like the motivation, and it just like desire. I just wanted to be there. So I was punching one-handed. Obviously, I wasn't allowed to do any sparring or anything, but I was just trying to do what I could. But an injury is like, even though it's only something small, in your mind is something massive.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, not just boxing, football, whatever sport you're in, you know, if I went out for a run now and I twisted my ankle and I couldn't run tomorrow, I'll be thinking, oh, bloody hell, I've done this. I'll be on the phone to John. All I've done is twist my ankle, but in my head, something miles bigger than that, because it's an injury, and because obviously now my job is boxing. I have to look after myself, and that's the same as with every sport. You have to be so careful now, and in injuries, they set you right back.
Yeah, so. Massively. That's really interesting, and again, I touch on something you said about John. It's like, so boxing coaches to me are, well, it's like coaches in life, whatever it is, but boxing coaching, and because you coach boxing as well now, don't you? You've got your own PT business, etc.
Yeah. So I do my own personal training alongside it as well. Yeah.
But don't you find, and I find this from what I do, is that as a boxing coach, you're so much more than just the physical aspect. And I get girls and boys, they'll come along and they'll train, and you know, when we get into it, sometimes I'll just go for coffee. I'll sit down for coffee, and often I find that as they get to know you better, they start to tell you things, and it's like, wow, okay, the physicality is giving them like confidence to speak out, and you become like a life coach in itself. Do you know what I mean?
Without a doubt.
Massive support to them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, John, obviously, I've known John for probably, well, it was after that show we was on. Yeah. It was probably a year after that. So I've probably known him for 4 years.
Yeah.
But he's like a father figure to me. Do you know what I mean? And it started off by me just training with him, but I always did one-to-one. Straight away, he said, right, I'm going to give you all my time, because he could tell that I had a pure passion for it. And I went in there and I said, I'm not going to get punched in the face for nothing. I want to achieve something with this. I want to go. Like, there's no, if you don't want to give 100%, there's no point doing it. It's a hard sport. And honestly, the amount of time, energy you put into me, he then became. We were talking about everything. I'm not even like anything and everything he was talking about. And the same as with him. He was talking to me about everything. And he's like, it turns into somebody that you think in your life is not only like a friend or a boxing coach, but he's like a dad. And, you know, and that's the same as with all boxing coaches. Even with my clients now, you speak to them and you don't even feel like you're a coach. As obviously, sometimes you do, but it's more like you're sort of just really good friends. You bounce off each other. It's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of what shifts me into talking about the mental health, because I found that, I don't know about you, but over the last 3 months, so with the gyms being closed, it's a massive problem for people. You know, I love to train every other day or every day, but for me, I'm knowledgeable enough to know if the gym's shut, I can adapt and I can do other things. But if you only know the gym, I've really encountered some of my clients, some of my friends that said, Mark, can you help me train? Because I'm actually getting a little bit depressed. I'm actually getting really upset being locked down and not being able to train, not being able to, and it's been, you know, it's quite a humbling thing for me to be asked, because it's nice that they have that confidence and faith to ask you.
Trust to speak about it.
Yeah, but it just proves, doesn't it? You know, the exercise is so important to combat mental health issues.
Oh, it's crazy. Exercise obviously just makes you feel good. Like, put boxing aside for a minute, just exercise in itself. Obviously, boxing's good because you're punching something, you can get out anger or aggression or anything like that, and it's got massive benefits. But exercise in itself, even just going for a run, you feel 100 times better, no matter what you're going through. You know, and when that's taken away, but when it feels like it is, you feel like you're trapped and you can't do anything. Even I felt like, oh, what do I do now? What do I do now? And my coach has been really good, sending me stuff to do and things like that. But if you don't have somebody that's that connected with you, it's very difficult. You don't know what to do.
I agree. So if there was someone like a young version of you, they're 14, 15 years old, and they're seeing this interview, and they're like, wow, okay, I want to have a go at that, but no, I've been told that, I'm not tough enough, or boxing's not good for, maybe for females in specific. Oh, you don't want to get hit, you're pretty, you don't want to get. What's your message? What's your message there? Because you must have heard it yourself many times.
Oh, so many times.
Yeah.
People are, what are you doing that for? Oh,
Yeah.
male dominated. Oh,
Yeah.
this or that. But do you know what? When you've got a passion for something, I feel like do it. And the best feeling in the world is doing something that people don't feel like you should or you could do.
Yeah.
So whether they feel like you should do it, in terms of if it's male dominated and you go and you win a world title, that's like a massive kick in the teeth for them. Or if you feel like or if somebody says, oh, you can't do that, then you go and be like, I can. It gives you different levels of hunger. So I think just do what makes you happy, and just the right people will come on board, and the people that don't come on board wasn't meant to be there. That's how I see it.
So how old are you now, Laura?
I'm 22 now.
22. So young, right? But
I was about to be 16 when we met. 15.
Yeah, that's right. It's crazy.
Oh, crazy.
But what I like, and I've followed your journey, and I watch your interviews, and I've watched your fights on YouTube and stuff like that, and we chat a lot anyway. But you're very, very you've a very mature head, I think, and I like you. You're kind of like a no bullshit type of person. You say it as it is, and I like that. In this age of political correctness, I know we have to be careful, but you are very much say it as in. That's really good. It's refreshing, I think. And I think
feel like you've got to be like that.
I think so. I agree, and I think people resonate with that, and they're like, "Yes, this is what we need."
Yeah,
it's really good.
I do believe that you should just be true to yourself, true to the people around you, and that's the best way to be. But the thing is especially now, you have got to have your head switched on. You've got to be mature about it as well, because now I'm in a business. It's not just a sport and fun and games. It's a business, and you've got to be very switched on with it.
Yeah,
but I'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. So just another one. I wasn't going to talk about this. I was just thinking about now. Obviously, we've got this massive issue in society, knife crime, and boxing. This gloves up, knives down stuff is a big thing. We put an evening on a few months ago, and I had a couple of friends. Well, Joe Egan and Scott Welsh came down.
Oh right, yeah.
And Chris Billam-Smith. I don't know if you've heard of Chris Billam-Smith, but he's a local Bournemouth guy. You'll come across him. He's a quiet guy. He's nicknamed the Gentleman, but he's very, very good. Cruiserweight, and he's doing well. He's doing good. But
good.
Anyway, we had this evening, and we talked about knife crime, because here in Bournemouth, we're like a sleepy little town. A lot of people think, but we get problems, and knife crime's on the way up, unfortunately. And I think there's a big argument for more people getting into boxing or disciplined combat sports to give them that confidence. What do you think about that? Because boxing is a great confidence builder, isn't it?
Boxing is the best confidence builder. I actually believe that, I've done a lot of sports and nothing's ever made me as confident, and not in a bad way, but just in terms of the fact that you feel better within yourself. And the world we live in, like, not being funny, it's sad as it is, it's not all fairy tales. Things go on, and you walk past people and you can tell there's something that, I'm not sure about that, and even say for example, I was walking through a park, being a young female, take away the boxing part, and there was a group of boys and they looked like they was having a drink or whatever in the park, and they looked like they looked at you. I wouldn't even want to go and walk past them, because instantly you feel insecure, you feel like you're vulnerable straight away. Whereas if you do boxing, it gives you a different type of confidence. Not like, oh, come on then, like, but it just makes you feel like, oh, well, I can walk past them, because why shouldn't I? Like, let's just walk past them. I'm sure that'll be fine. But it just makes you feel a little bit more confident in the fact that if you was ever approached, then you learn to sort of be able to handle yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, no, that's really important. So you know what to do, but also the fact that people that are confident, they shine confidence. And unfortunately, bullies and people that want to take advantage, they always pick on the weaker person anyway. And I spent years in the security industry, and I used to teach conflict management, physical intervention. I always used to say to people, bullies people are looking to mug people. They look for the little old ladies, or they look for someone. They look for that sign of weakness. They don't target the confident-looking guys or girls.
No.
So boxing is great for that, definitely.
Without doubt. Yeah, no, they'll target the people that look vulnerable. So if you act a little bit confident and you don't look as vulnerable, you're not as likely to get chosen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As a victim. Whereas, as you say, if you're an older woman, for example, or if you're young and you, like, for example, if I was walking through a park, because I'm quite small, I'm quite skinny, like I've got a young face on me, people will be like, it makes me look vulnerable. Luckily, obviously, I know boxing, but it does make you still look vulnerable. Yeah. And so that's what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody that they believe has got a weakness. And that's why boxing's so good, because it gives you that confidence to then sort of almost outsmart them, act confident, and then you don't seem to have any problems.
Yeah, that's right. So right now it's a really good time, isn't it, for female boxing? You're getting into a fantastic time. Because I remember growing up, you had your Jane Couch, your Layla Ali, who I was a massive fan of, but there weren't many female boxers. And now, well, I think Nicola Adams majorly turned the sport. I mean, she made a big impact. Yeah, and then obviously after that, you've got Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields and all these great female fighters. And obviously yourself, you're going to start joining those lists. So, are you pleased that you come into it now rather than back then?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Obviously, with me, I always wanted to do big things in boxing, and that was always my aim from the very start. Even when I was with Mark Holden, like I say, I wouldn't do it if it was a hobby, but it was more like, oh my god, I can't live without this. I'm gonna want to do this for as much as possible, as best as what I can, and get as far as what I could.
Yeah.
Back then, obviously, there wasn't as many pros about. That was probably when Nicola Adams was just starting to change the name for the sport. So she sort of, obviously I heard about her and I was like, oh, there's a big pathway. There is a way that you could do well in this, Laura, if you stick to it. And it's booming now. Like, you look back then and now you look now. Yeah. There's so many girls turning over. I was struggling to get the fights. Now I'm going to be able to get the fights because there's loads of girls out there as a pro my weight. Yeah. And it's a big step up. Don't get me wrong. It's completely different. It's like, if you make a mistake, you can get seriously hurt now. Yeah. Compared to before. Absolutely. But it is booming, and I can't wait to get in the mix. I really can't wait. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
What do you have any inspiration, like boxing inspirations that you've looked up to or you've watched a lot when you've grown up, when you started boxing and thought, okay, male or female?
I sort of like all the old school fighters.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I've always liked all the like Sugar Ray. Yeah. If I was going to watch boxing, I'd watch all the highlights of them. Yeah. All the old school ones. But I tell you who has really inspired me is Tyson Fury.
Wow.
He's a massive inspiration. You know how you were talking about how it affects the mind? Yes. I feel like if Tyson didn't know boxing, I feel like he would have been in a worse position than what he was. If I was. And I feel like that's really helped him get back to, like, look at him now. He's flying now. But that's probably, in terms of a boxer, he's my biggest inspiration, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's incredible, wasn't it? I mean, I remember I went to Germany to watch him fight Vladimir Klitschko.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, I was there. And I'll be honest, I didn't think, on the build-up, I thought, he's not going to win this. But that week, something changed. And I watched him doing the workout, and I thought,
the public workout.
Something's changed now. And I for the first time, I saw Vladimir like he was out of his comfort zone. Yeah. And then to win that, and then it was incredible. And obviously the unfortunate stuff where he struggled after that. And then I went to watch him when he fought Wilder the first time.
Oh, right.
And I'll be honest, I thought he's not going to beat Wilder. And then he did. He drew with him, and very impressively. I think he won, really. Yeah. And now look, he goes and stops him. So yeah, no, you're right. Incredible inspiration of a guy.
Yeah, no, I feel like it shows the levels as well. You know how he was like, he had a draw and then he went and won and this, that.
Yeah.
It shows the levels and it shows how he was getting better, not just as a boxer, but as a person. He was getting stronger.
Yeah.
So you could see his mental state was getting better and better and better. And I feel like, yeah, he's not even just in the boxing world, he's an inspiration. For anybody out there, he's an inspiration, you know? So, yeah.
Okay, so the pro career, we don't know when it's going to start yet because obviously we've got the lockdown and this stuff and we don't know when anyone's fighting next. But how far do you want to take this, Laura? To
be like I say, I believe I can win a world title, and the team around me believes it as well. Yeah. It's a dangerous sport. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have that hunger. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, like, there's a lot of experience I need and there's a lot of learning I need to do, but we're not shying away from anything. One step at a time. We'll take the fights when the opportunity's there and when it's right to take them. Obviously, I'm not going to go rushing in and being like, I want to fight this person, this person. I'm in no position to start banging, like knocking on doors saying I want to fight this. No position at all. But the girls that are in the boxing, how far I've come in just a short space of time struggling to get the fights. Now I've got like a proper build up. I've got a proper setup. I've got the nutritionist, I've got the strength conditioning coaches, the boxing coaches. I've got everybody I need around me. Yeah. That we're going to see like the real Laura come out, if you know what I mean, which I didn't feel like I could have shown in the amateurs. And my style suits the pros. I'm an aggressive front foot, like stepping forward boxer. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I can be on the back foot, but I'm aggressive with it, and I feel like I'm going to bring a little bit of fire to the mix. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. But we are looking to go the full way. Otherwise, I wouldn't just get hit in the face for nothing.
No. Who's the dominant force in your weight division at the moment in the world?
Who's the best out there?
Yeah, the champions of your weight division.
Well, it was Nicola Adams, but obviously Nicola Adams she's retired now. Yes. Don't know whether she'll be making a comeback or something though. There's something going around on her social media saying that she might. Listen, I'm in no position, as I say, to say anything. No. But you've got to look at the best. You've got to look at the best people. You've got to. And I've always been like that, even as an amateur. If there is any way Nicola Adams would come back to the sport, I would love to at one stage box her in years' time. Yeah. Nowhere near yet, but just to share the ring with her would be an experience. So if I could have one person out of the whole of my weight division retired or active, it would be Nicola Adams, just to share the ring with her. But as I say, we've got to get my first fight done, and then we just got to take it step by step by step. But I've got about 10 years plus. I'm 22.
Oh, you got loads.
I could box her in 8 years, and I'll be a completely different level then. So we'll see. But if not, then hopefully maybe see if we can do some sparring or something, and But
do you know? Well, I was like, this isn't about me, but I was really fortunate. I went to Miami and I was doing some stuff in Miami, and I got to train with Riddick Bowen and Evander Holyfield. And it's the most unbelievable experience.
Oh, I can imagine.
Doing some training in the ring with these guys, like touch sparring, and I was like, I was so buzzing after it. It's like incredible.
Almost like taken back, aren't you? Almost like starstruck. Like you're thinking, is this really happening? Like that, rubbing your eyes.
I was in this is a different time. I was in Vegas. Went to a boxing convention, and I don't know if you remember a guy called Layman Brewster. He was a heavyweight world champion. I was up really late at night. I was talking to him in a casino bar, and I said, Layman, I'd love to train with you. He said, okay, man, tomorrow we'll train. I went, whoa, okay.
Was you like, what?
Yeah, I thought he's going to forget, or he's had a few drinks. And anyway, I got to the gym. He was there, and he said a couple of my friends are going to join us. So I went, yeah, brilliant. And it was Riddick Bowe again. It was Oliver McCall and Hazim Rahman.
Oh, mad. He was literally in the middle of these.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I get proper starstruck. So when you're talking about like Nicola Adams and training these people, it's a great thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just to get. I'm not being funny. In boxing, it's not like where you go and you learn something and you take it in, and it's how you take it in. In boxing, you have to learn by sparring, by getting hit. That's how you learn. Like obviously with pads and things like that, but in the fights is where you learn like so much. My last fight, I learned loads out of it, and I feel like I've become a completely different boxer just from a fight.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you say these names, it's not because not just me, but like any boxer, they might say, "Oh, I want to fight this person." It's not even because you feel like you can beat them, you can knock them out. Obviously, it's boxing, but it's to get the experience that you need. You know, like for example, Charlie Edwards. He went for a world title shot against Casemiro. He came away. Unfortunately, he lost it, and I think he got knocked down or whatever. But then he got that experience. He's then gone and won a world title.
Yeah.
Because the experience, even though it was hard, it was a bitter pill to swallow at the time. He got all that experience inside of him, and he's gone and he's completely changed his life now. World champion, this, that, and it's just you want to be around the best to be the best.
Yeah.
So, I believe that you've got to aim high, and you've got to have the confidence, not necessarily to beat everyone. Obviously, in the pros, you want to keep a good record and everything like that, but just to get the sparring, the top quality sparring, what you can, all the best out there sparring, and obviously in fights as well, you want to fight the best, just to learn it.
Absolutely. So just tell us who you've signed with. Give a bit of a plug so people can give them a follow and follow your career more, and how they can find out more about you and follow you on social media and things.
Yeah. So I was speaking to a few management companies, but obviously, like the best thing for me is John Edwards, who I've known for ages. He's got his own management, so I signed a contract with John for a few years, and it just gets my foot in the door then. And if any opportunities come, we'll take it. But so it's called Noble Art. He's got a good stable there anyway. Got a good stable of boxers, but mainly with John, as I say, I trust him with my life. So I didn't want to sign a contract not knowing what was in it, not knowing if I was going to get stung, because obviously it's boxing, but it is really a business.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're not sort of you're not getting stung. You're not going to lose out loads of this and that.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful. But John, he's got my back 100%. So I signed with him, and he's based in Guildford. And and for following me, my Instagram's at Laura Payne _ and my Twitter is at Laura Payne __.
Nice.
That's how to follow my journey. But yes, mainly Instagram I use.
Brilliant.
We'll see where it takes me.
Sometime when you have free time and your busy schedule, it'll be great to get you down to Bournemouth. Do like an evening with, because your story is very inspirational, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's great what you're doing, and you're such a, like I say, you're such a straight talking person. It's great. Maybe we could sort something out in the future. You come down to some training, like a training session, and maybe do like some Q&A, because people would love to attend that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, obviously at the moment, I'm not being funny, but I don't have that much.
Yeah.
I'm not ridiculously busy because of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll sort something out in the next couple of months or something, because it's the best time really, because before I've got a fight, obviously once I've got a fight date, I want to be in camp and this and that. At the moment, I'm just taking over with my coach a few sessions a week and doing the runs and stuff, but I'm in no actual camp, so I've got a lot of freedom at the moment. Brilliant. So I would love to come down, and it's easy to get to as well, so send me dates and I'll be there 100%.
We'll arrange that.
Definitely.
Okay, and finally, because I'm big about positivity and motivating people, and I have this analogy. I remember as a kid watching Tyson and Customato. You know, Customato, you see, Tyson has this little spark, and his job was to grow the spark into a flame, and I always remember that.
Yeah.
Last thing I'd like to ask you is, what advice would you give to someone who said they want to get and achieve their goal? It doesn't even have to be boxing. And I know because you're wise, you're so much wiser than your age, I think, sometimes. I say you talk it straight. So what advice would you give someone who they want to do something, but maybe they're surrounded by the wrong people, or they've got limited beliefs? How do we break that? What do we say to them, Laura?
I would just say, be the hardest worker in the room. Nice. And don't stop until everyone is like, whoa, didn't know you could do it.
Yeah. That's
my advice. Just go out, do it, sacrifice everything. I've sacrificed so much for boxing, but it's not just that. A businessman sacrifices everything to create a business and to make it work. So be the hardest worker in the room, and just don't stop until you get it. keep driven. Don't switch off. You got to put the blinders on and just make sure you're going focused and you're not getting told by that person and that person. When they're up, you just stay in your lane.
Yeah,
that's what
I like that. Thank you very much, Laura.
No worries, Mark. No problem at all.
Pleasure talking to you.
Really good to see you.
And we'll sort something out soon.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Maybe next week, whenever you're free, we'll do like a live chat so people can ask questions and do a Q&A and stuff.
Yeah, cool. I've got a lot. I go on live sometimes and like quite a few questions come in. And
yeah, I managed to hop on one the other day. Actually, I didn't know it was on there. I was like, oh, there you go.
Yeah. That's it. No, so it'd be good to do a live and people can ask questions. It's a good way to interact with people.
And that's a wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. Before you go, please remember that it always seems impossible until it's done. Discover who you are, where your strengths lie, and dare to dream. Just dare to dream. You know, life has its struggles, and you just gotta fight through them, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So please think about that. And thank you again for watching. We'll see you next Sunday.